Good evening, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here, especially our honored guests, who we will hear from very shortly. Thank you to Beth Jacob for hosting. I want to acknowledge Rabbi Feldman, Rabbi Foxbrunner, Rabbi Starr, Rabbi Tendler, Roy Edney, a representative from the Israeli Consulate, Cheryl Feingold from the Atlanta Israel Coalition, Dov Wilker from AIC, and all our other friends and partners. This Shabbat, Jewish people around the world will begin reading the story of Exodus, about our captivity in Egypt. The sages tell us that the Hebrew word for Egypt, Mitzrayim, is related to the word Meitzarim, which means confined and narrow spaces, and that it refers to the mental state of being captured and helpless. Because captivity not only crushes a person physically, it crushes their spirit too, until it's almost impossible for them to even hope for redemption. The story of Mitzrayim is the foundational story of the Jewish family, the Beis Yaakov, becoming a people, the Bnei Yisrael, and over the course of that journey, escaping from both the physical and the mental captivities of Egypt. In the Haggadah every year, we read the following passage: V'hi she'amda la'avosenu. It is this, God's promise of redemption, which has stood by our ancestors and for us. For not only one enemy has risen up against us to destroy us, but in every generation they rise up to destroy us. And the Holy One, blessed be He, delivers us from their hands. October 7th changed the world for everyone, but for no one more than the hostages, many of whom are still held captive in dark and confined Meitzarim, and for their families. October 7th also reminded us in very deep and painful ways that Am Yisrael, the Bnei Yisrael, are more than just a nation and a people. At our core, we are still a family in the truest sense of the word. This year, it is all too easy to understand the passage of V'hi she'amda, that in every generation it can happen. But we are also all required, every one of us, to see ourselves as if we were the ones to leave Mitzrayim. We are required to never give up hope and to believe in miracles and in redemption. And our blessing to you as a community, in solidarity with you, the families who are joining us tonight, is that Amir Hashem, God willing, soon we will all celebrate the redemption together.
Amen.
In the spirit of that, in the spirit of family and of hope, I want to welcome Matan Sivek, the director of the DC chapter of the Hostage Family Forum. Matan has been working tirelessly across the United States to amplify the voices of the families and their pleas, including leading the efforts of the hostage families in Washington.
Hi everyone, and thank you so much for coming here tonight. Special thanks to Rabbi Tendler, to Rabbi Feldman, to Rabbi Moshe for making this event happen. My name is Matan Sivek. I'm leading the Hostage Families Forum in DC, and for the past year plus, we've been working with an incredible team of volunteers to make sure this issue is top of mind to all stakeholders. This is our mission. I would like to start actually with the parasha of the week, Parashat Vayechi. This is the last parasha who tells the story about Joseph and his brothers. Joseph, the son of Jacob, was abandoned by his own family. Joseph lost his freedom, dignity, and self-confidence. He found himself in a foreign land, lonely, prisoned, and hopeless. Joseph, of course, my mistake. Jacob was certain that his son was dead, and the story tells us that he tore his clothes, put on a sackcloth, and mourned for his son many days. All his sons and daughters came to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. No, he said, I will not continue to mourn until I join my son in the grave. So his father wept for him. Jacob was broken for not being able to protect his beloved son. This experience deworlded him to the core, and he could not find any solace until he would be reunited with his son. It's fascinating to see how Jacob, who is also called Israel, candidly represents our own sentiments, Am Israel's sentiments, for our brothers and sisters who are held captive in Gaza. Am Israel will have no comfort and won't be able to heal until it will reunite with his brothers and sisters who are held captive. Joseph, he prevailed. He survived. From the darkest place, he rose up and found a way out. Our hostages, among them Keith and Romy, are striving to find that small light which will be the beginning of their redemption and liberation, which will be the beginning of our own healing and from the tragedy of October 7. We will not wait 22 years like Jacob to reunite with our family. You're all here to say, Hineni. You're here to help. We will not abandon the hostage families, and we're here for them. The hostages will be saved and hopefully very, very soon come back to Israel, home to their land.
Amen.
I'm hopeful that this conversation will give you the tools and also some information to keep up the fight, to make sure that they return safely home and being released. So soon we will be Jacob, who is going to reunite with his son. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Matan. There's a QR code on the screen, and you can scan it to learn more about the important initiative and work that Matan is leading. Before we get started, we're going to say two short prayers together. The first is the prayer for the IDF.
Could you speak into the microphone, please? Thank you.
Is that better? Before we get started, we're going to say two short prayers together. The first is the prayer for the IDF. Tonight is about the hostages and their families, but we also have to remember that tonight and every night, we all have brothers and sisters and fathers and mothers who are fighting in Gaza, trying to bring our families home. In fact, several of the hostage families, aside from having loved ones in captivity, also have loved ones in the field. The second prayer is Achenu, the Jewish prayer for the release of all captives, first found in the Machzor Vitri in the 11th century. We say it every Monday and Thursday after reading the Torah, and it has become an anthem of the Jewish people and their collective tefillot for our brothers and sisters. Please rise for the prayer for the IDF and Achenu.
She'era Avoteinu Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov U'yivarech Chayalei Tzva Hagana Mishmar Atzeinu Ve'arei Eloheinu Migivul HaLevanon Ve'ad Midbar Mitzrayim U'min Hayam HaGadol Alevo Ha'arava Ba'yabasha ויציל את חיילינו מכל צרה וסוכה ומכל נגע ומחלה וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם ידבר שונאינו תחתיהם ויעטרם בכתר ישועה ובעטרת ניצחון ויקוים בהם הכתוב כי אדוני אלוהיכם ההולך עמכם להילחם לכם עם אויביכם להושיע אתכם בצרה ובשביה העומדים בין בים ובין ביבשה אחינו כל בית ישראל אחינו כל בית ישראל הנצויים בצרה ובשביה העומדים בין בים ובין ביבשה המקום ירחם עליהם ויוציאם מצרה לברכה ומייפל על יורה ומשיבולי גאולו אשתו בגולו ובזמן קריב המקום ירחם עליהם ויוציאם מצרה לברכה ומייפל על יורה ומשיבולי גאולו אשתו בגולו ובזמן קריב אשתו בגולו ובזמן קריב אשתו בגולו ובזמן
Thank you very much. Please be seated. I'll now ask our guests, Maya Roman, cousin of Yarden Roman, as well as Carmel Gadol Shalom, to please join us on stage, along with Yarden Gonen, sister of Romy Gonen, and Aviva Siegel, who herself survived captivity and whose husband Keith is still imprisoned in Gaza. I'd like to really just take a moment, if you can, to go around and introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your story and about your loved ones. So let's start.
My name is Maya Roman. Does this work? Ah, okay. My name. My name is Maya Roman. My cousin, Yarden Roman, was kidnapped on October 7th from Kibbutz Be'eri. She was taken from the family home of her husband. Along with her were taken her husband's mother, her mother-in-law, who was murdered a few meters outside of the home, and her sister-in-law, Carmel Gat. Yarden was taken along with her young daughter, Geffen, and her husband, Alon. They were able to escape, but she was held hostage for 54 days until she came back to us, thankfully, during the first hostage deal. Yarden's sister-in-law, Carmel, was still held hostage, and so me and my family kept on advocating for her return. After 11 months in captivity, which she bravely survived, some of them while helping the hostages who were held with her by practicing yoga and meditation with them, making sure they kept their physical and mental health. She was executed along with other 5 hostages, the beautiful 6, as Hirsch's mom calls them, in August. Since then, we've continued advocating so that no other family has to endure what Carmel's family endured.
Hi everyone, it's a bit confusing because my name is Yarden, but I'm not yet Maya's cousin. So my name is Yarden, and I was blessed by my parents to be born to a really big family. I'm the oldest sister among 5 siblings. Romy is the 3rd one. It's written here that she's 23, but unfortunately she already mentioned her 24th birthday in August in captivity. And Romy is like any other 23-year-old woman in Israel. She went to her big trip in South America. She traveled for 8 months and then she returned to Israel, wanted to travel again. So she worked very hard and she was planning to go to her next trip in India and Thailand on January 24. But, like any other girl at the age of 23 in Israel, she went to a music festival. And the music festival, the Nova Music Festival, really describes her character. She has a free spirit character. She loves her life. She loves to dance, to live, to enjoy, to get together with new friends. And instead of having fun with her best friend in the entire world, she needed to escape for her life for 4.5 hours while my mom and I accompanied her on the phone. And while a brave man tried to rescue them from the bushes that they were hiding in for 2 hours, they were ambushed outside one of the kibbutzim near the Gaza Strip, and the driver was murdered, her best friend was murdered, and she was shot on her hand, and she was kidnapped into Gaza. We're saying it too many times at the past 464 days, almost like a robot, like just saying the words, describing some non-imaginable story. And all we want is our loved ones back. I don't want to tell this story anymore. I don't want to cry for help for something that's supposed to be basic. She's a woman, she's a young woman, she's a civilian. She didn't do anything wrong to anyone, never. She loves kids. She loves working with kids on the spectrum. She is a medic, so she cares for others. And she would do anything for others to survive. She's a warrior of justice, and she would fight, like real fight, for someone. If they need her help, it doesn't matter if she knows them or not. And Romy was supposed to be released on the same humanitarian deal that occurred last November alongside Yarden and Aviva. But for some reason, Hamas decided not to. But if the deal would last one more day, both Carmel and Romy would be out. For Carmel, it's too late. For my sister, it's not. My sister is alive. She's my baby sister. And my parents taught me since I was born to guard my siblings with my life, to do anything it takes to keep them safe. And I'm failing every day since October 7th. But I know that she'll come back alive and soon. I have too many words to say, but I think
I just asked Yarden if she wants to talk for me. She said no, so I'll have to talk. So thank you everybody for coming here. It's cold outside, it's hard to get out of the house, but thank you for coming and being here for us. I want to say that it's my 11th time in the United States, talking and crying to bring the hostages home and to bring my kid home. He's 65 years old, from North Carolina, Chapel Hill, brought up in a home full of love. He loves people, he loves to talk, and everybody loves Keith. He's proud to be American, and just like you, he likes waffles and pancakes in the morning. And we have to, when we make waffles or pancakes, we have to make it double because he finishes a whole bag of all for himself. So Keith and I were kidnapped from Kibbutz Kfar Aza. Keith is 65, I'm 63, we've been married for nearly 44 years, and Keith is still in Gaza. I always knew everything about Keith. The only thing that I do know is that Keith is begging and crying to come back to his house, to come back to me, to come back to his family. So we were kidnapped from a community that most of my neighborhood aren't alive anymore, or kidnapped. There were 19 people from my community that were kidnapped, and 64 people that were murdered, burnt alive. Mothers were raped in front of their families. Children hid themselves in a cupboard while their mother was lying dead in front of them. 2 babies 9 months old were left alone in a crib for more than 17 hours. On the 7th, Israel went through hell, and Keith and I did too. We were taken with our pajamas from our house in a very brutal way. Keith was pushed, I was pushed, and they broke Keith's ribs and they shot him. I was lucky that I wasn't shot. And in Gaza we were moved 13 times. Upground, underground. When we were upground in all the houses we were in, the missiles from Gaza used to come out to Israel. And the terrorists used to stand in front of us while we were sitting on a mattress on the floor and clap their hands and say beautiful. And that's the kind of people they are. They treated us like we're nothing. They controlled us in every way they could, in such a brutal way. If it was telling us to sit next to the wall from 3 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the morning, while they just stood and smiled at us because they took control. I'm a witness of one of the girls that I hugged. Even I knew that I wasn't allowed to hug her because I saw that she was shaking after one of the Hamas terrorists decided that he can do whatever he wants to. And if he wants to, he can. So he touched her. And this is a young girl that I tried to protect, that I felt like her mother. And I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. But I did get screamed at when I just gave her a hug. That's all I did. I'm a witness to one of the girls that was taken and covered with a blanket and handcuffed and beaten up with a stick and with guns. When she came back, she sat like a baby, crying. And I wasn't allowed to give her a hug. The only thing that I could is love her through the eyes. We weren't allowed to move. We weren't allowed to stand. We weren't allowed to talk. We weren't allowed even to breathe. One of the times they took us down underneath the ground, and after more than a couple of days, Keith looked at me and he said, Aviva, I feel like I can't breathe. And I could see that he couldn't breathe. And I said to him, just lie down and try and breathe. And I want to tell you that I was scared to look at Keith. I was scared to look at his ribs going up and down and maybe stop and maybe die in front of me. And then the thoughts came while I was lying and trying to breathe too. I separated from life. And Keith and the hostages are still there, begging to get out of there, begging to get out of hell, because they were terrorists that do what they want to, starved us while they ate in front of us. One of the nights, I took my foot out because I was hot from the blanket. I was nearly killed by doing that. I was threatened, if I do it again, he will kill me. And that's the amount of control that the Hamas terrorists had on us. So I'm going to move the microphone to you, and you can ask us questions, and I'll continue to answer.
There really are no words. Thank you all so much. There really aren't any words. Thank you all so much for sharing that with us. It's hard to even hear, and I can't imagine how hard it is to talk about, let alone to live through. I want to also acknowledge Aviva's daughter, Shir, who is here with us this evening. Thank you for joining us. Aviva, your testimony about the things that you saw has been critically important in all kinds of forums in trying to bring some level of light and justice to the horrible abuses that Israeli women in particular experienced in captivity. Can you tell us a little bit about the work that you've done trying to bring that to light?
I've been back for more than a year, and all I do is talk and cry, and talk and cry wherever I can. And that's what I do. And my whole family, none of us work. All we do is try and bring all the hostages back. And I just want to say that it's the most cruelest thing in earth to go through what I went through, and to think that Keith and Omi are still there, and Carmel, that just tried to keep herself alive, came back in such bad conditions. So I'm talking for Carmel, I'm talking for Hirsch, the American hostage that was killed, and I'm talking for all the hostages to come back. I'm their words. Because if there was a camera that you would have seen us in Gaza, we would have been out today. Because it's just too much for a person to handle what's going on there. So we need them back now, and I'm holding my fingers that it'll happen soon.
Just sticking with you for a second, Aviva, can you tell us a little bit about that very bittersweet moment of coming home, especially as it relates to your family? You found out that your son, Shai, who also lived in the kibbutz, had actually survived, which you weren't sure about, but also knowing that your husband, your heart, is still in Gaza.
Well, you know, I know the Shai is alive. Because that morning, on the 7th, my son wrote to us on the WhatsApp group of the family that he's holding his fingers and that he can hear Arabic outside. And he got disconnected, and I was sure that my son was killed. And Keith is still in Gaza, not knowing that Shai is alive. So when I separated from Keith, I was lucky because I found the words to keep him going and to keep me going. I looked at him and said to him, you be strong for me and I'll be strong for you. And when I came out, I was in a complete and utterly shock because I never ever thought that I would live. I'd nearly died so many times in Gaza, and so many times was too much for me. I wanted to die. So when I did come home, I was the happiest person on earth, but for minutes, because I came back to my children, to my family. But after minutes I thought about Keith, and it broke my heart. And every Friday we used to sit as a family, light candles, and pray that it'll be the last Shabbat without Keith. And then it became months. And then it became a year. And I can't believe it. I just can't believe the words that I say that aren't only words. It's true. I saw everything, I felt everything. It's cruel. And I think it's one of the cruelest things in earth, knowing what they're going through. And they're still there. I used to hide pieces of pita for Keith because he was losing weight. When I came out of Gaza, I lost 10 kilos. I could not walk. I had to lean on somebody. And it took me a month and a half to eat a plate of food like people because I had such bad infection in my stomach from Gaza. I'm praying. I'm really praying so hard all the time for them to get out of hell and come back home.
Maya, you talked a little bit about how your cousin Yardain was captured from Kibbutz Be'eri along with her husband Alon and their 3-year-old daughter Geffen. And when they were nearing the Gaza border, their captors were momentarily distracted by an IDF tank, and so Alon and Yardain grabbed Geffen and jumped off the truck and ran, and in a moment of unbelievable, pure maternal love and instinct, Yardain handed Geffen to her husband and said, you run faster. And she ran off in a different direction. And she was right. They caught her, but Alon and Geffen managed to hide in the bushes for 12 hours and to escape. And during her 2-month captivity, Yardain didn't know whether or not her family had made it. Many of us saw the video of that beautiful moment when their family was reunited. You were with them, and you were with Geffen that morning when she was told. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like?
Sure. You know, I have the nicer job of reminding us the contrast of the terrible reality that Aviva is witness to, and that is the pure joy that can and should be experienced by all the families, by everyone who's here. You know, when Yarden was held in captivity, we had to tell Geffen what happened because she was there. We could not make up some nice story. She saw her mom be kidnapped. And so we kept telling her that her mom was lost. And that the reason that there are so many strangers in her house all the time is because we're all looking for her mom all the time. And then on the night of the deal when Yarden came back, we woke Geffen up. It was 2 a.m. And we told her, we found mom. We're going to the hospital. And she didn't really believe us. It took us a while. She started running around the house ecstatic. And we kept asking her, Geffen, do you know what's happened? Do you know what we're going to do? And she wouldn't say it. She kept looking at me and said, you say it. Because she was so scared of saying what it was. And then when Yarden was held in captivity, Geffen, like many children, became quite obsessed with the TV show Paw Patrol. It's about dogs who save people, and she thought they can save Yarden. And one of Yarden's siblings mentioned this when he was talking during one Saturday in the Hostage Square in Tel Aviv. And so Geffen immediately received a huge amount of Paw Patrol merchandise from all over Israel. And one of the things she got was this cute felt costume of Chase the dog, who's the lead dog. And when we went to the hospital, she insisted that she has to bring the costume so she can show her mom. And so a second before this really beautiful picture, which I have in my wallet with me all times, happened, she changed into her Chase costume, and I was waiting around the bend to give the family time to meet. And all of a sudden, I see Geffen in her Chase costume running through the hospital, screaming at me, you have to come see, we found mom, I can't believe it. And it's just, I get chills just thinking about it, but nice chills, not like the ones I've just gotten. Because it really is the most beautiful moment in the whole entire world. But the following day, it was, the next moment was all of us waiting for Carmel to return, because like Yarden said, Carmel was supposed to be released the following day, and that's when we learned that the deal fell through, and that was the first time I saw my Yarden cry since she came back. And I have to say, on a tangent, Yarden, my cousin, did one interview, 60 Minutes interview, because she wanted to do all she could for the other hostages. But since then, she's been focused, as she should be, on trying to get better on Geffen. And seeing Aviva here talking so much about what's happened to her, you know, you need to realize what that is, what kind of a sacrifice that is. That she's doing in order for everyone to care as much as they should and help us make sure that everyone else comes home. So I just hope that everyone here understands what it is that you're witnessing and the amount of sacrifice that everyone here has to do in order to do this.
Thank you. As you mentioned, Carmel was supposed to have been released on day 8 of the deal that blew up on day 7. And even after that, she managed to survive in captivity for almost an entire year before she was murdered by Hamas in late August, right as the IDF was closing in on their location. She was murdered alongside Hershkol Polin, Eden Yerushalmi, Ori Danino, Alex Lobanov, and Almog Sarussi. Some of the hostage children who were released said that while they were there, Carmel helped them feel safe and protected to the extent that they feel that they survived because of her. She was clearly an unbelievable and very strong person. And multiple times she was so close. What was it like when you found out that she was gone?
You know, I keep trying to write about what we've been through this year, and one of the things I keep coming back to are the moments of optimism. Because I truly believed, as you have to, I 100% believed that Carmel was coming back until the second I learned that she was murdered. And not that long before we learned of her death, it was July, we felt that a deal was very close, and that scares me, because right now, a lot of us feel that a deal is once again very close, but that's why we're here, because we have to make sure that we don't miss this chance. For me, it's really traumatic, because I keep going back to how we missed the chance to save Carmel. I was here in the States for almost a month, from July till the end of August. I went to the DNC along with Hirsch's parents to keep advocating, and I felt like it's gonna happen every day. And then I came back home. It was a Saturday, so all of the families were at the rally, as a lot of us are, and I started getting WhatsApp messages from journalists asking me if I can confirm the rumors. I told them I don't know what rumors they're talking about, which is when I realized that there was a rumor that 6 hostages who were believed to be alive have been recovered dead. And at first I thought it was just a rumor. I started looking on Telegram and I saw that the names going around was Carmel's name. We were at the demonstration, so Carmel's family was there as well. I went up to them and we had to decide, do we tell Carmel's father, who was off his phone, or do we wait and see, because maybe they're just rumors. And as time went by, we started to feel like we should tell him. The strange thing is that that night of waiting to hear about Carmel felt very, very much like the night when we waited for Yarden to come home. Because in both cases, you don't have anything left to do. You just sit around waiting. So when we knew Yarden was coming back, we just passed the time. We tried to pass hours upon hours until we learned that she's definitely coming. And it was the same thing with Carmel. I was at Hostage Square. I was actually with this Yarden because I couldn't go home. I just sat there and we tried to pass the hours drinking Diet Coke, talking about stupid things, until around 3 a.m. when Carmel's family told me that they got the call and it's official. As you said, Carmel was executed along with the other 5 hostages after having survived for so long in a tunnel she could not stand up in. I can't explain the amount of guilt and failure that I feel and we all feel. We know we did all we could, but still, you spend so much time trying to make sure that she comes back. You realize that she did everything she could. She kept herself alive. And in the end, we failed. We didn't get to have her back alive. And that's why I'm still here, just trying to make sure that no other family has to go through what Carmel's family went through.
Yarden, your sister was on the phone for almost 4.5 hours with you and your mother Meirav. That's one of the longest recordings we have of what happened on that day. And In the recording, you can hear her friends Gaia and Ben being murdered. Another friend, Ophir, was found murdered in Gaza later on. Romi's hand was shot and wounded. And in the phone call with your mother, you can actually hear the terrorists arguing over who gets to kidnap her. Until finally they pulled her by her hair from the car and beat her as they dragged her into Gaza. For 55 days, no one knew for sure if she had survived. But then, as the hostages were being released in November, they started reporting seeing her alive in Gaza. Can you tell us about that moment when you found out that she was still alive?
Yeah, sure. It's strange when you spoke. It's like you're a part of my family. I still don't get that Carmel won't come back home alive, because we were sure that she's alive, and we were right. She was. And you have this sense of knowing, you know, like yedi'ah, something that is very strong in the Jewish beliefs. And this is something that we have also about Romi. I had since the moment my mom and her hung up the phone, the terrorist closed the phone. Our mom called me and let me know what happened. And I remember how all the air from my lungs were like drawn out. I was pale. I felt like I'm about to pass out. I never passed out before, so I didn't know exactly what to feel. But then, at the same second, I had like this knowing that she survived it. I don't know how, but I just knew it. That she's okay. And that she's kidnapped. Because also, only from at that moment, we don't know Arabic, so we didn't know what the terrorist says. But I just knew it. And I told my mom, she's okay, she's alive. And my mom said, I feel that way as well. And from that morning, we had this kind of mantra that we told ourselves with a not only belief, with a true knowing. Romi is alive. Romi was kidnapped. Romi's coming home, and she's coming home alive. The only question is when, not if. Never thought it would take that long. But the moment that we discovered that she is alive was one of the most Israeli tragedy, I call it, because it was like the moment that we passed from Yom Zikaron, from Memorial Day to Independence Day, that you go from great sadness and pain to a sensational feeling. On day 56, on day 55, we've learned that Ophir Tzarfati, that was kidnapped with Romi into Gaza, his body was discovered and was rescued by the IDF to Israel. And on day 56 morning, it was his funeral. We woke up, or we never got to sleep at that night, because we knew that something, we didn't know if the deal will, continue or not. So we woke up to alarm, siren, thank you. To a siren in Tel Aviv. I immediately understood that there is no deal anymore, that I don't need to wait for my officer to call me to let me know if Romi is on the list or not, because there is no list and there is no deal, because we continue fighting, and I need to go to Ophir's funeral, and I don't know how I'm gonna survive this. But we went anyway, because we fought with his family side by side from October 7th without knowing him or his family at all. With also Gaia and Ben's family. Ben is the driver that not only tried to save and managed to save Romy, he also rescued 12 other people from the festival.
They call him the Angel of Nova.
Yeah.
That's his nickname in English.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, in the Jewish beliefs, 13 is a lucky number. So one of Ben's survivors, one of the people that Ben rescued and saved her life, told me Romy will be this lucky number because she's coming home alive, and then she will be the 13th person that Ben saved. So we arrived to the funeral, and instead of comforting them, they are comforting me, saying to me that they're not letting me go, that they will continue fight, that they'll be with us along the way, whatever it takes. And we left the funeral with heavy hearts, and we drove back to Tel Aviv, and we were like, what are we gonna do now? How do we enter Shabbat with these feelings? And then I got a phone call from unrecognized number, which I don't answer because from October 7th at 8 p.m. I started receiving phone calls from terrorists for like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, trying to mess with my head. And I don't know why I decided to answer. And I answered angry, like, what? Who is it? What do you want? And a very gentle voice answered and said, hi, my name is da-da-da. I'm a released hostage, and I want to say to you that I was with Romy at the past almost 2 weeks in captivity. Romy is alive. And I was like, what? Wait a minute, I'm putting you on speakerphone. In the minute I put her on speakerphone, she said, oh, amazing, Merav is there? And I was like, how do you know my mom's name? And she said, oh, you have no idea how much I know about you guys. And it was really that sensational feeling from going from one of the darkest moments I've had at the past 15 months to a great confirmation of our knowing that Romy is alive. We never doubted that up until now. And it was amazing to hear all those stories about how much she's brave and strong and surviving and helping others. And she didn't have a lot of time to talk, but she said, Merav, Romy wanted me to pass on one message to you. She thought that you were separating from her on the phone call, like you thought she might be dead. So she wanted you to know that not only that she's not dead, she's surviving, she's strong, she's not giving up because she knows that you're not giving up and that her family will get her out of there. We just need that to happen.
Thank you. It's been over a year now since you found out that your sister is still alive, and you have been active nonstop, challenging media companies, for example, to do more, trying to remind the world of their ongoing suffering. Who or what has been most helpful in your mission of trying to do that?
So it's a tough one to answer, you know, because I feel like everything and everyone, every time that feel like I'm stuck and I don't know what to do or where to go, I remind myself Ben, Gaia, and Ophir and their bravery that day, how much they did for others, how much they did to protect my sister, and they managed to. Ophir, without knowing my sister, at the minute that they were ambushed, he was just laying over her, and he was shot all over his upper body, and Romy wasn't shot at all. Just when she tried to measure Gaia's pulse, she was shot on her hand, but not at the first shooting, because of a fear. And every time that we have like sort of arguments or disagreements between families, I keep on reminding myself all the IDF soldiers, how they are dealing with everything. My partner, he's an officer, he was reserved on October 7th, and he was always telling me how politics and beliefs or religions never stuck in their way of the team to work together and to achieve the most important goal, to achieve the security for Israel and to bring back the hostages. So we're going everywhere and we're meeting with everyone in Israel, outside Israel. And it's amazing to see how much this issue is a bipartisan issue, because it's a humanitarian issue. It's a matter of human lives, human rights, women's rights. It's about our brothers and sisters. And you can see it also here in America, how the current administration and the next one are working together, cooperating. I guess this is the only topic that they agree on. And it's amazing to see. They really wanted us to know that they are working together and to like spread the rumor to everyone, because this sends a really strong message to our enemies. We need to remind ourselves, we should not be fighting between us. We have enemies, we don't need more, and especially not between us, all brothers and sisters. And we need to remind ourselves that this is history writing itself now, as we speak. My father, every time that he go to speak somewhere, he asks people, do you know how many hostages we have right now? So do you? Let's see. Don't be ashamed. 98, right. Do you know how many American hostages we have right now? 7, right. Do you know how many women? 13, right. Not everyone knows that number. Do you know how many kids? 2. We have to know even the numbers and to start from there and to learn more about them, because them, it's us. And it's just by mistake that it was Aviva and Keith, that it was Romy and Yerden and Carmel. It could be any of our loved ones, from our family, from our friends. 45 Americans were murdered on October 7th. This is the biggest massacre on Americans on one day since 9/11. I don't know if everyone knows that number even, or that piece of information. So we have to stick together. It's not just a figure of speech. And now you have our stories. It's 5 different stories, even more, because Aviva shared a lot of details of other hostages. And we're like passing the torch to you, but not to give it to you and to let go, just to hold it together. And I don't know, try to overcome darkness with a lot of light, and together, not separately. We're very weak that we're not together, and the terrorists are waiting for us to be separated. They're waiting, because then they can crawl in and bomb it all out. We are not allowed to give it to them, okay? We are not. This is not a choice. This is a demand. We have to stick together, and we have to do whatever it takes for our loved ones. Because we need to secure this world for the children. They need to know that Israel and Jews all around the world are literally doing everything for our brothers and sisters, and not just as a beautiful sentence. And just so you know, I don't know if you know, but we have a lot of great allies here. A lot. All around the world. But in America, wow, amazing. And we will overcome it, okay? Jews, nobody likes us since the moment that Judaism was born. But we always overcome it. We always won every single war that none of them we've started. So we know that we will win this war, but the true victory, the only victory, would be to bring back all the 98 hostages. Enemies will wait for us all the time. We need to secure the future for our society. This is the only thing that matters for us. We know it. We need to stick for each other. It was a really long answer. I'm sorry. I had this gift.
Don't be sorry.
I'm talking too much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Over the last few weeks, and this question is really for all of you, the last question, there's been thank God, a flurry of activity and some very increased urgency in terms of making a deal. Practically speaking, what can we do to help?
You can do so much. I want to remind everyone here, I want to say that over this past 15 months, we have had many panels like this. We have had countless meetings, and in every meeting and in every panel, the families give everything they have. And you see it here. And these are women who have already been through enough. And so we're doing this, and they're doing this, because we believe that you can help us, and I'm asking you to take this sacrifice and realize that that's what it was meant for you to now take action. And that action can be calling your representatives, sending emails, reminding them that this is crucial for you, because the support of the administration, the existing administration and the future administration is crucial right now in this moment that we're in. And that support is continued and is based on the fact that they realize that the American public cares about this issue. But there are so many other issues going on all the time. Very important issues, like the fires in LA, like the war in Ukraine. We need you here to use the power that you have to remind your representatives, to remind your administration that this is something you care about, that this is something that they will have political power if they help bring the hostages home. And that's something that only American citizens can do. And we know from people in the administration that we've met that it truly has an impact. It sometimes seems like, oh, what can one email do? No, it does a lot. It helps open doors for us. It helps people listen to us. So I'm really asking you, whenever you have some free time, pick up your phone, use your email, write to whomever you have any kind of contact with, whether it's your elected official, whether you have your own connection. The Jewish community has been a huge resource for us. I never would have imagined, I never thought of myself as particularly Jewish because I'm Israeli and I'm not necessarily religious. But after October 7th, I learned just what this connection can do. Every single important meeting that we've had has happened because of someone within the Jewish community who connected us, who opened the door for us. So if you are people who have big connections with people who might have any kind of influence on the new administration, the old administration, please consider contacting us, helping us reach those people. Yarden and Aviva are here for a while going forward. They're going to be here in DC until after the inauguration. So we are always looking for new people that we haven't spoken to that can help us make sure everyone is committed. As you said, we are currently very cautiously optimistic. As I've told you, being optimistic can be heartbreaking, but it's also something we can't help but be. But it doesn't mean we can be apathetic or we can calm down. Quite the opposite, because if we miss this opportunity, it will be so devastating for all of us. So I know that a lot of you have already been supporting us and the hostages in Israel through these past months, and I know a lot of you are tired, just like we are, but we really need you now. So I think that's the practical things I can think of.
Just imagine yourself to be a leader and to be very brave to say something out loud. You need the backup of your people. You need to feel like what you're saying is something that your people feel the same way. So we have President-elect Trump that stated several times, not about the war even, not about the status in the Middle East. He said that, but the focus was on the hostages. And that was very brave of him to say, even before he entered his position. And we have our own Prime Minister that said that also, that this is the time to make a deal happen. And we need them to feel the support of the people. They need to hear us, okay? Because there is a lot of going on, and the majority of the people is quiet because we just want to live in peace, right? We just want to live in prosperity in our community. So please use your voice, be vocal about it, whether it's by email, by Instagram, Twitter, whatever you think is right. It has an impact. And you're their voice. They don't have a voice. Each and every one of us is their voice. I don't remember which one of you told me that you're not in that great relations with other Jewish communities. I don't know if it's true or not, but I think it's a very crucial time to like get all the Jews together and to make something worthwhile together. And we need to acknowledge the fact that up until all the hostages would be released, anti-Semitism will continue to thrive here. Because if terrorists manage to do that to Jewish and to Israelis inside Israel, they can do it everywhere. So this is actually one of the ways to solve a lot of other problems. And I don't know, be brave. Don't be afraid. They're coming home, and we have to do it before it's too late. We have to, for them and for us. And just look at Aviva, okay? If you need some hope, just look at Aviva. You have no idea what is going on inside of her. It's unbelievable that she's here and doing what she's doing. But she's our hope. And hope, someone told me that hope dies last, but I don't think so. I think that hope never dies. And you give me hope. You really do.
I want to say thank you to everybody, and I just want to give you something from Keith that you can take with you. One of the evenings, Keith looked at us. We were four of us. It was Keith and I and two girls, and he said, "Okay, every night, everybody will say something good that happened today." And I looked at Keith and I said to him, "But how can I say something good of what happened today?" And I kept quiet, and I listened to Keith and the girls. I was the last one to say something. And every night I said the same. Thank you for being here with me. And thank you that I have you to be with. And I really meant that because they helped me so much. And in the darkness of Gaza, having a day of hell, Keith and the girls found something good of what happened that day. And it was special. He kept himself strong by keeping his things that he believed in, to look at the good And he found it. And I'm proud of him. Thank you.
Thank you all so much, really, truly, from the bottom of our hearts for sharing that with us. We know it's not easy to talk about, and we want you to know that we will continue. We promise to continue praying and working to bring them home now. I want to thank everyone again for coming, acknowledge our musicians for the evening, Noam and Aaron. We're going to conclude the evening with two more short prayers. Leman Achai, which is the prayer for peace from Psalm 122, and then Hatikva, our national prayer of hope and longing for a safe and a free Israel.
למען החי ורעי, למען החי ורעי, אדברה נא, אדברה נא, שלום, למען החי ורעי, למען החי ורעי, אדברה נא, אדברה נא, שלום בך, למען בית השם אלוקינו אבקשה טוב לך, למען Hashem Elokeinu avak shatov lach Liman beit Hashem Elokeinu avak shatov lach Liman beit Hashem Elokeinu avak shatov lach. Let's see.